After the fish get through spawning, what's the key thing you need to remember in order to have success catching them? Good morning, guys and girls. It is May the 9th. We're going to be looking at Lamentations for our catch of the day, Lamentations. And now that's a book that probably not too many of you read, unless you're like me and you read the Bible completely through every single year. And then Lamentations is one of them you got to read all the way from the front to the back. This is a little gem from Lamentations right here. Lamentations 3:25. This is a great one. The Lord is good to those who hope in Him and those who seek Him. In other words, so if you want to get the goodness of God, all you need to do is hope in Him and you need to seek Him. You need to seek Him. We seek Him by praying to Him. We seek Him by going to church. We seek Him by listening to Christian praise music. We seek God in a lot of ways. But so in order to have His goodness, to have Him be good to you, you need to hope in Him and you need to seek Him. All right, here's what I wrote about that. Finding fish after they spawn can be really difficult. The fish don't necessarily stay shallow, but they won't automatically go deep. That's the most important thing to remember. Bass, for some reason, physiologically, cannot go deep right after they spawn. So what they do is they'll go out and they'll suspend in areas in usually 3 to 4 to 5 feet of water. I think about 4 or 5 feet is about the magic depth. I like to have that 4 or 5 feet of water over about 20 foot of water if possible. Now, a bass is a bass is a bass. So they're going to suspend around cover if they can. If they're in the type of lake that they don't have cover, they're going to suspend out over points, usually the points where they first come into before they went to spawn, that pre-spawn area that you caught them in maybe back in February or early March or late January, depending on where you live. But so these fish are shallow. They're shallow. They'll be, if you got boat docks, they'll suspend around the tops of the boat docks. If you've got willow trees, suspend around the top of the willow trees. Most suspend 4 or 5 foot deep. This can be in a wide variety of places depending on the type of lake you're fishing. They might be over 30 feet of water on points or in the tops of willow trees, 5 or 6 foot deep. All right, you understand what we're talking about? You get the picture? Like I said, I think if I can find trees or structure of some kind in about 20 foot of water, the fish will suspend about 5 foot deep. And those are very easy to find, very easy to catch. And they only stay that way for about 2 weeks. And then they start moving into their summertime pattern. And that will change depending on the type of place that you live. Finding God is much, much easier. It's much easier to do no matter where you are or who you are. God is right there with you right now. That's probably the most important sentence of the whole deal. God is right there with you right now. All you need to do is seek Him. Get in prayer, talk to God, get personal. Get personal, get intimate with God. Talk to Him about your darkest secrets because they're not a secret to God. He already knows, so it's a great thing to talk to Him about. Pretty quickly, you'll start to see just how good the God that you hope in really is. The Lord is good to those who hope in Him and those who seek Him. Here's our tip for today. Oh, this is a really good one. Illinois pondweed, which we call duckweed in most of the places of the South. Illinois pondweed has thick stems on it that provide great underwater cover. Now, the great thing about Illinois pondweed is that it grows in usually clumps or smaller areas. It's not like hydrilla or coontail moss or Eurasian milfoil that might cover acres and acres of a lake. It usually grows in small patches. It might be a little patch that's only 10 or 15 or 20 yards around. It might be a pretty good sized patch that's maybe 100 yards, but it's got a lot of edges on it. It's edges all the way around it. It usually won't, it grows out away from the bank a lot. One of the lakes that I think about that's got Illinois pondweed or duckgrass in it is Lake Sam Rayburn in Texas. And during the summertime, when it gets really hot in those dog days of summer, those bass will get down under that. And keep in mind, it's a solid mat up on top. And a lot of people will throw frogs and stuff over the top of that, and it's a great way to catch fish. And one of the things I like to do is take a big topwater bait, like a big Zara spook, and fish right around the edges of that. in the middle of the summertime, right in the middle of the day, and you'll catch some of the biggest bass that you can ever imagine. We actually have duck grass, some small patches of it here in our lake here at Twin Eagle. We don't have a lot, and there's almost none in Oklahoma. We are blessed in our lakes here that we have here on the ranch in that they have all kinds of different vegetation, coontail, and they have reeds, they have lily pads, and they also have Illinois pondweed. And they're usually little small clumps. Sometimes it's a little clump just about this big around. And almost every time you throw a bait bite, you'll catch fish. And early when it starts growing, you can run spinner baits through it, and it's just dynamite. It's just dynamite. Remember when you're fishing any vegetation that's on the top, that those stems down underneath are kind of like looking at the trees. You know, if you look at these trees from down at the top, they're not quite full yet, but they're close. But you look at them up at the top of a forest, you can't really see the ground if you're looking from the top of them. But when you look down below, you see all this open area in between. That's exactly the way that vegetation is in the water. Down underneath, there's plenty of room for all those bass to be, and that's exactly where they are. It's a little cooler down there, about 5 degrees cooler. In the wintertime, it's about 5 degrees warmer. So it really, really is a great place to catch those fish. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one today. And remember, I love you.